You're listening to Self-Leadership with Dr. Bensmann, the podcast for entrepreneurial minds. How is the economy in Germany doing, especially from a leadership standpoint? And what can we do for ourselves to stay sane in these tough times? Welcome to a new episode of Self-Leadership with Dr. Bensmann, where we explore how mastering self-leadership helps you thrive across all areas of your life. My name is Bensmann. As a consultant, executive coach, and professor, I focus on empowering individuals like you to navigate the complexities of leadership and personal growth. My guest today is Bernd Geropp, a leadership expert who supports entrepreneurs in moving from reactive management to intentional leadership. Drawing from his own experience, he helps business owners refocus on their passion, vision, and people instead of getting lost in daily operations. Bernd believes that small and medium-sized enterprises are the backbone of society, and his mission is to empower their leaders to make a real difference. Bernd and I have a big brain dump in this session. We talk about German perspectives on leadership, different challenges for small, middle, and large companies, as well as tips to stay sane in these mind-boggling times. Enjoy the conversation. Hi, Bernd. Where are you right now? This is my regular question when I start podcasts.
I'm in my hometown, Aachen, right now.
Ah, yes, but everything's obscured. So in Aachen, it's the middle of the night?
No, I just have a dark background.
Oh, I see.
I plan in July, August to change everything to make it more smoothly and more nice. Right now, it's just a mess.
Yeah, no problem at all. My background is blurry for good reasons, so you get it. You've been to India, so we haven't yet talked about that. I've never been there, and you as a consultant, I explained in the preliminary text where you come from, etc., etc. And as we use this podcast in both our channels, right. I said to myself, I have to give a short introduction. But on the other hand, we know each other now for a long time, but we haven't yet talked about your business trip to India.
Yeah, I had a friend who I met more than 20 years ago when I was with Schaeffler, and he was an engineer. I wanted to hire him for my services when I was with Schaeffler, but it didn't work out. And so he started his own business. And then we lost contact over some years. And right before the pandemic, we got in touch again, and he already had a nice company in Dubai and Saudi Arabia where he's doing engineering services with his team. And he wanted to have me in Dubai. That was 2019 for his goals and vision.
Yeah.
So I worked with him for 2 or 3 days. And then the pandemic hit. Right now, this year in January, he came back to me. Now the company has more than 200 employees.
Okay.
And he said he's working too much inside and not enough
on the company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where he said, if I couldn't come over to India, I had a workshop with him on how we can change things. And then we did leadership training for his team. And which was very interesting, he arranged a meeting with other entrepreneurs and business owners. It is Kerala, it's in the south of India. And I was amazed how powerful, how visionary a lot of these business owners are.
Yeah.
And there is a hunger for success, I would say, which I partly am missing here in Germany. So that was amazing to see that. Yeah.
Very good. So I was just thinking that my two Indian ETFs really stand in a good shape even now. So maybe that's a sign.
That's a good side, yeah.
Absolutely. So were there any how can I say it, surprises when you look from India towards Europe, where you say one thing is the people seem to be more eager,
yes,
and hungry. Anything else?
People I met there, it's
Yeah,
a small,
of course.
portion, of course. But if I imagine there are 1.3 billion Indian people, and if only a very few of them think and act in that way, how the people are doing, I met, then it's really there's really something happening.
Yeah,
we need to change because we are in competition with them. We can't say, oh, we have a 4-day week and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In the world out there, that's different.
Yeah, it's a tsunami coming, kind of. Yeah. That's what I see. On the other hand, I think we briefly talked about that in the preparation talks. I'm going to go to Colombia in July, and I'm totally curious about what we can learn from them. Of course, they asked me. I'm at the German Chamber of Commerce giving a talk, and then I go to Medellin to study the startup culture there. And I think I might have the same impressions there. So we should talk about that later in this year.
Absolutely. It's funny, when I was in Dubai or India, or I was also in Colombia, but that's 15, 20 years. So lots of things changed, and I'm really curious what have changed also in South America.
Yes. I'm so full of curiosity, and again, I'm looking forward to have again the perspective from there towards Europe, because we're in the middle of it when we're here. But that's the reason why we have to move to the outside to watch what happens there and grab some new ideas and impulses, etc. I think we no longer are in the middle of it.
No, not at all. A lot of people here in Europe, and especially in Germany, think that, but that's not true at all.
No longer.
Nope.
No longer. So, anything else happening right now? I think you're still very busy in working with leaders in Germany. I always see some LinkedIn posts from your part, and I always say, Jesus, he's busy. So what's going on here?
Well, first of all, I have 3 employees who help me significantly, especially also with social media, YouTube, etc. So Alex, for example, is doing everything regarding my YouTube presence and social media presence. Then Erzin is helping me with leadership, coaching, etc. And Simone, you work with her. Of course. She's working on all the events we are doing. So without them, I wouldn't be able to do all that.
You'd be lost. Yeah, kind of.
Absolutely.
But you are still there in person. So I know, I call him Future Gerd Leonard. Gerd already is, as far as I get it, experimenting with avatars. So he's, let's say, he gave a talk and he has a video clip of that, and then AI puts him into speaking, I don't know, Kiswahili, Chinese, Mandarin in this case, and I'm always watch that and say, oh, that's interesting, but is it he still, or is the avatar already, how do you say, maybe it gets its own identity, kind of, but it's still you?
No, I'm still doing all on my own. So we also experimented with AI regarding audio as well as video.
Mm-hmm.
But at least from the video side, I think after a few seconds, you get an idea, hey, that's not real. At least that's how it is today.
Yes.
And I think it's also with audio. So if you, I listened to one podcast regarding news, which is on an Handelsblatt, I think it, something like that.
Yeah.
That's okay. But the personality still missing for me.
Yeah.
So I don't see it in the next 3 to 4 years that this will change. But I might be wrong.
Yes, maybe it's quicker. Yeah,
it's I don't know where that's going.
Today, is you still realize glitches in it. It kind of sometimes it kind of smells fishy. So let's like a fake something. But yeah, I'm with you. Maybe we are surprised how quickly things
it's developing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in concerning your work with managing directors, owners of small, medium-size companies, I was thinking, do you do something differently now? So that these people, we both work with these kind of people. We try to support them. We try to be scouts for them. In your kind of working with them, I have things changed, like in your consulting and your coaching with these people? Different needs, maybe?
I think it didn't really change, but what I observed, let me put it more in a bigger picture.
Yeah.
What I see is over the last 50 years that there is a change regarding authoritarian leadership versus cooperative leadership.
Yeah.
In that 50 years, it was clear we need to go more to a cooperative leadership because we need intrinsically motivated people, because these are the people who are working with us, who have own ideas.
Yes.
We are not in that situation any longer like Henry Ford with his automobile industry, where he said, why does a brain always come along when I've only asked for a few hands?
Yeah.
These kind of work, these kind of tasks are done by robots.
Yes.
Automation or anything else. So we need people who think by themselves. We can hand over responsibility. I'm not talking just about leaders. I'm also managing leaders or something like that, managing other people. But I'm also talking about just the normal guy who's working for us. They need to take over responsibility. But that means we need to have a different leadership style.
Yes.
And that's a little bit something what I see that some people still think more system-centered and like I have this model where I say on the one side there are system-centered companies and on the other side more people-centered.
Yes.
It's not black or white, but like a McDonald's, that's system-centered.
Yeah, absolutely.
People-centered is more where you have engineers, where you have people in. Google 10 years ago was more a people-centered. Now it's always switching more to a system-centered.
Yeah, it seems so. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my idea where I say, if you are a small business owner, I believe you need to focus on this cooperative leadership style. You need to focus on a people-centered company, because otherwise you don't have the edge against the other companies in the market. So that's where my take is, and that's where I help the business owners. That's why I say it's important that you as a business owner don't work in your company, but work on your company, because you are the guy who is have the tasks of a business owner, like vision, value, strategy, all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
If you're not doing it, no one else is doing it. So That's my take on that.
It's interesting. I have some. I'm not quite sure if I phrase it the right way. I have some kind of schizophrenic view on that. On the one hand, I think you're totally right, and I work with totally different companies like fintech companies, shipping companies, etc. Yes. But in some companies, I already see some kind of backlash going on.
Yes.
So they said we were so totally focused on people, and it's like kind of a kindergarten. So I've been to Google in New York 15, 20 years ago, and it looked like a playground. And in Germany now, especially in companies like as I said, fintech or software companies developing apps, things like that. I see a kind of backlash. I see that on the one hand, the economy is struggling. So they were constantly on the up, these companies. And now there was some companies saying, maybe this app, maybe next year or the year after that. And so for the first time, they are no longer just on the up, but they are on the, I don't know, at least sideways development.
So I think that's a good observation you have. And I think that's because if I say people-centered, cooperative leadership style, that doesn't mean that there are no consequences if the goals are not hit, or if the expectations are not by the employees. Something has to happen. It's not, we are all in harmony.
We're a family.
A family. No, sorry. It's a business. And of course, we want to treat our employees fair. We also want to give them responsibility. But if that's not working, things have to change. And sometimes we also need to maybe let loose.
And to have some layoffs. Yes. This is absolutely the time.
I think that's the feeling some people have. Okay, that whole people-centric didn't work. It didn't work because you were not consequent.
I think on the one hand,
that's an English word, consequence. Is that? I hope so.
Makes sense. So
there are consequences if you are not working properly.
That's right. Let me give you another perspective on that topic. So because I'm always interested in have different perspectives on that, so I can kind of calibrate myself. Another perspective is when I work with as a coach. The one perspective is I do strategic meetings for the one hand as a facilitator, moderator, but quite often my job is to work as a personal coach, as an executive coach. And what I realize now is, as I'm doing it now for 30 years, as I'm doing it for 30 years, is I in the earlier times, I spent lots of sessions on personal vision, for example. And I'm still convinced, my model of the 7 fields of self-leadership, I'm still convinced that this is the basement, the basic thing you build your whole construction on, kind of.
I agree.
But what I see nowadays when I have coachings, people say yes, I know it's important, but let's figure out how I have to deal with this very straightforward problem that I have, and so it's not that easy to kind of come back to this kind of meta level thinking. Where you try to at least have some scenarios and things like that.
I think the pressure is higher than 30 years ago, and everything is quicker.
Yes.
And I think that's the reason why.
Especially in Germany now, because when I look back, we had the great scenario planning, 2-day workshops, things like that. And now people say, maybe I had some prompts with ChatGPT, so I have a rough idea of the different scenarios. We don't have to focus on that. But let's figure out, I have some problems with my colleagues on the C-level, so what can we do? Okay, fine. but I still try to have them kind of into the rows in the theater and watching things happening on stage with some distance and things like that. And I can tell you, I think it's much more difficult to get these people on this kind of higher level thinking and long-term thinking and things like that. Same is with you?
Not necessarily, but I think that's the reason for that is that I work with slightly different people.
Yeah.
I think it would be the same, for example, if I would focus on company owners who are in a crisis, like if they are close to bankruptcy or something like that, then it would be the same. Right now, the company owners I work with, they have their problems, but it's not that critical. So I can convince them that they need the time to think about themselves, to think about their self-leadership, their own vision, to bring that together with the company. And a second point, I think, is also a business owner of a small business. I can tell him, hey, the vision you have, the way how you behave is directly how your company will behave. If you are with a manager who is in a 5,000 people company, he will say, well, I don't have that influence onto the company than the business owner. And then
absolutely.
That's, I think, where the difference is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. I like to work with business owners, like say in middle-sized companies up to 1,000, and I have two just in front of my eyes, thinking about them. But on the other hand, from this big shipping companies with a couple of 10,000 people on ship, on shore, etc., things are different, and it's interesting to see that people on the sea level, of course, we have to say, of course, are being steered by others, kind of, not only the market, but a lot
of political games you have to play if you're in the middle management, but even if you're on the sea level, it's not your company, your employee, even if you're the CEO. So they have different kind of problems and challenges. Someone who owns the company and is the CEO of his own company. And it's a small company.
Absolutely. The funny thing for me is I really enjoy to work with different companies. Quite often you hear the talk like you have to focus on one group and because otherwise you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, maybe in a way that's right. But on the other hand, for me, it's always refreshing kind of to have this different perspectives. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I do it now for a long time, kind of. And for whatever reasons, I have an idea what the reasons are for, but the people seem to like it, that I sometimes say, okay, if you were in the totally different surroundings and you were in a company of 500 people, what would you do differently? And I can give them some hints, some kicks, so they can get into this
different
role.
Impulses they don't get from
normally they don't
from inside. Or I understand that. For me, it's really the positioning very important. So I'm on a different route. I say, okay, that's the people I want to work with because I can see quickly also results, and I know that I can help them. I was in a huge company and in the middle management. I had 350 employees working all over the world for me, and I was struggling with these political issues. So I'm not the right guy because I would tell them just fuck the company, go out. That wouldn't help. So you are much better for this kind of people than me. But I know where I can help a business owner because I am a business owner and I had my high-tech startup. So I know how they behave, how they think. I went through a lot of problems they have and I like to work with them on an emotional, but also on a strategical way and leadership.
Yeah, get it. So you know
That's
it
my
inside
positioning.
out, kind of. Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
So you know it inside out.
Right. And I think that's also something where
Yeah.
when the business owners trust me, because I'm not just, in inverted commas, someone who's giving impulses, but it's never in their shoes. I think that's a different kind of working with them.
Absolutely. I think so too. And I couldn't do it otherwise. So yeah, maybe that's exactly why we do what we do. And yeah, of course.
Maybe, but by the way, I very often come to a certain point where I say, hey, sorry, that's not my game here.
Yeah.
See that someone has a certain, in German it's Glaubenssätze.
Mindsets, something like that.
Mindset or beliefs, which come from the past, where you really need someone who has a better psychological background than me. Then I will tell that very upfront and tell them, okay, I can help you strategically. I can help you with leadership tools, with this and that. But here I'm not the right guy. I can send you to someone or give you
with the expertise in that
you should talk to, but I can't help you with this. I know that there is a problem, but I can't. I'm not the guy who can help you with this.
Yeah, Bernd, interesting thought. I'd bet that on the East Coast of the United States, the word Glaubenssätze actually exists, because they are so fond. They are so fond of German expressions like Kindergarten, Waldsterben, whatever. That I'd bet when you go to Boston somewhere, maybe that someone would talk about Glaubenssätze. I'm pretty sure about that. Let's figure that out in the future, just for the fun of it. I have one thing I am struggling with, and we briefly talked about that, which is social media. I know you spend a lot of time. Simone helps me as well in social media postings, etc. What's your take on that? I see especially LinkedIn as a business platform now in some kind of, I don't know, some deep sea kind of, because there's so much political talk, lots of personal statements, and I'm kind of fed up, because for me, I understand that people have a perspective. Of course, I understand that we need criticism of what's going on. Yes, but for me, it was especially for keeping contact with people from all over the world. LinkedIn was the platform for that. But now I'm not sure where it's going. What's your take on that?
I think it depends very much on why are you using LinkedIn. You said you want to use it for this exchange of opinions, different opinions. And what I see right now is that becomes more and more difficult. It's either black or white for a lot of people. That changed to 5 or 10 years ago. I try to not be political on LinkedIn or on social media in general, because my goal on social media is to talk about leadership.
Of course.
Eyeballs on what I'm doing. It's more or less a marketing tool for me. But I have to say, especially LinkedIn changed, as you said, and I don't really. I have a few thousand people who follow me or who I'm following, but I'm a small fish in the LinkedIn pond. So I haven't found out how it works really good like other people. what works for us more is podcasting, it's, the YouTube game, these and newsletter, things like that from marketing perspective. That's what works quite well for me. We try LinkedIn a lot, but to be honest, I don't know if it's really that helpful for my marketing.
Yeah.
And regarding how I try to get in contact or exchange information, I really try to read different on different channels, different kind of views, and then to get in touch with people really one-on-one, and to try to see if the other person is really wants to understand and really wants this kind of exchange if it comes to a political exchange, or if it doesn't make sense.
Yes. Yeah.
There are not a lot of people you really can talk about politics, I would say.
Absolutely, it's some in the earlier days. It was more, in my perspective, it was more of a cultural thing. When you went to the United States, you know that there are certain topics you wouldn't talk about, that like religion, sex, etc. But nowadays, I think I'm with you that I'm kind of careful. Maybe even shy to openly discuss things. I'm interested in dialogue, yes, but from the pandemic onwards, I see. Oh Jesus, it's not getting easier. People are not people, but lots of people, in my perspective, are no longer open-minded or interested in real dialogue. So I say to myself, and maybe you do the same, maybe not. Maybe spend my time differently, which is not good. It's not good for democracy, etc. We need dialogues all over, everywhere.
I try to, how can I say, I try to be not political, but still to move the needle. Let's play it like that, regarding democracy, but also regarding how I bring over my view of the world. So, for example, when I came back from India, I made a podcast episode in English and as well as in German, where I focused on what I learned, how it is to cooperate, to again go to events, talk to real people, not just on social media. And what we had in the beginning, that all over the world there are people who are hungry for success, who strive with visions, etc.
Yes.
And my take on that, if you like, it's a political thing. We need to change here in Germany, not the whole society, so that we are again, okay, we want to do something, not just being, everything is in harmony. No, we can't. Our social net, I think we really need to think about how we are able to finance that. I don't have the solution, but we really need to talk about that. And I don't want to get too much into politics. That's what I like, something small I'm talking about. Is that there? But then I'm going back to more the leadership issues, the challenges of my of the business owners I want to serve.
But that's another thing that changed in the last 5 years or so. In what I realize in coachings is that the people I'm working with, which is a range of people, it's not all the same types and positions, that people open up, at least in this kind of safe place of a coaching session. They open up and they say, I have to struggle with that. I have to maintain a clear mind. I have to make sure I still have an open heart, and not just kind of get grumpy or pessimistic or whatever, or think
Partly
about
even depressive. I have the same when I talk to my clients. You are absolutely right. They say, how can I just be in a positive mood when I see all this negative news and things on social media and that everything is terrible. So that's where I say you have to reduce, and that's not easy because I have to talk with me in the same way. Don't watch too much social media or news. It doesn't help you. You're in the concern circle, not in the action circle or in the circle where you can change things.
You're part of the doom scrolling then, and that's absolutely not helpful. But that brings me to a question I brought with me into our dialogue is, when you face the same situations as your clients, and I'd say that's part of self-leadership. What do you do for yourself to maintain a clear mind and an open heart and an ongoing interest in working with people? What do you do, like self-leadership rituals, something like that?
What helps me, and that's also what I try to give as an impulse to my customers, is consume less of social media and news. Focus on sleep. That helps me. If I don't have enough sleep and healthy sleep, it's really, I need my at least 7 hours, better is 8 hours.
Yes.
And then have something which has nothing to do with politics, with your business. For me, that's sports and music. So I'm playing the piano in a big band, and
that's
I'm
great.
doing 2 or 3 times a week. I'm going to kickboxing, which both of them are important, because if you're doing kickboxing and you're doing a sparring and you think about your business, you
get punched very hard.
It's not working. And the same with music. If you want to play the piano, and I'm purely an amateur, so I really have my struggles in the big band. I need to concentrate on that. And by doing this, by concentrating on what you're doing right now, that helps to get out of this, everything is terrible and what should I do here? You're not struggling with that if you're focused on something else.
Absolutely. That brings me to remembering that I, for a couple of years, spent time in an amateur racing league with cars, with old cars, like Formula Ford cars on the Nürburgring and Hockenheimring and things like that. So another thing, you have to focus. You have.
What I hear is you're not doing that today. What are you doing today?
Interesting thing. I started again to play with Lego bricks.
Okay.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I not so long ago I had a video call with a client of mine, and he was at home in his kind of studio, and I saw in the background some kind of Lego. How do you say, a rocket, the Saturn V rocket. And I said, give me a second. And I took my camera slightly to the side, and he could see my rocket built of Lego. So interesting thing. I'm absolutely sure that Lego gets a lot of money from people like us. Because when you do that and you do not focus, then you won't make it.
That's the same principle.
Yes. And of course, you know that we talked about that quite a while ago. I have my meditation each and every morning. I have my ritual to jot down my thoughts on paper. I always have my 4 questions, like what is most important today? Whom do I want to support today is the second question. Third is, what will I do? I try to translate because I write down these questions in Spanish because I want to work on my Spanish.
Yeah, you need
the answers
to
are still in
Spanish
German.
if you go back if you go to Colombia, right?
Yeah, absolutely. At least I want to give one talk in Spanish. So
Okay.
yeah, face your fear. So I always have my 4 questions. The fourth is, what am I grateful for today? I ask it in the morning, not at night.
Yeah.
So I have my rituals, and when I like habit stacking. Habit stacking meaning when I after our conversation, I will go to the espresso machine, and while the espresso is dripping down, I do some push-ups.
Oh, very good. Yeah,
and I always try to combine things, and
that's a good idea. Yeah,
I think this keeps me keeps me healthy, focused on what is really important. In German, we have this not so easy translatable word "eigentlich." Which is really important, which is the most important thing, which is eigentlich. And maybe that's another tip for the East Coast of the United States.
Use that word.
Import it. Maybe they even have it. So, yes, I have my rituals, and these rituals, I'd say, and sleep as well is one thing, to get enough sleep. I'm totally with you. By the way, I came across a study that said excessive noise is one of the main reasons for dementia.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's another thing. Be careful where you pose yourself. We take care of what we see. I hope we have a media diet here and there. But what about the sounds that surround you?
Okay.
If you are, let's say, working in a kindergarten, you may be in trouble when you're 50 or 60, because there is a significant rise in the danger of getting dementia. Or if you would live on a street, you have your flat on the street, which is very busy and noisy. So that's a new thing I'd like to take care of and to think about. Where am I? Have noise cancelling headphones when I'm on a plane, things like that. So
I think that's a good point. Yeah, because I think the noise, which I can say that. Let me put it differently. When I'm in a restaurant and the restaurant is quite noisy, it's much more difficult for me to have a discussion or talking to someone than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you are always in such kind of situations where you need to focus and all kind of noise comes in, that's really exhausting.
Yes.
So I can see that reducing that can help to stay healthy.
Yeah. I think that's let's put it as a hands-on tip for our listeners. Figure out in which kind of surroundings you normally are. Take a look around, take a hear around, kind of, and figure out if this is acoustically really a supportive setting, or is it something that distracts you and distracts others as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think, it's for me, it's not new, but I didn't know about this kind of effect it might have on our health.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What I more and more see, it's very often the small things which you can change, which have a big impact.
Yes.
So one thing what I also try to where I try to help my clients is if they say, "Oh, I have such a lot of things to do." Mostly they are working very much operationally.
Yeah.
So they are they don't have the time for the real leadership work or even the personal work or the business owner's work, because they are such inside the company. And a tip I give them, you will not change that from today to tomorrow. But what you can do, if you have a 10-hour day, start within the first hour with something which is important,
yes,
but not urgent.
mm-hmm.
Thing is mostly something which has no deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And something which has no deadline is very often something which has to do with leadership or with your business owner tasks.
Yeah.
Everything which has a deadline, no, it's operational. So use the first hour for something which is important but has no deadline.
Yeah. Very good. That's deep work.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
productive work that really produces added value, at least in the long run. It's very helpful. So we are kind of in the part where we give some tips for real life improvement for our clients and for the listeners. I have one more thing that maybe fits well into this. I'm actually right now reading a book that's called Tiny Experiments. How to Live Freely in a Goal-Obsessed World. And it's by Anne-Laure. I think one of her parents is French. Anne, A-N-N-E dash Laure, L-A-U-R-E. And then the name is Le, L-E, en français, Le Cunff, C-U-N-F-F, but maybe we'll put it in the show notes of our podcast, makes it easier. And this book is really interesting. Tiny Experiments is promising and delivering exactly what it says. And one thing is, I really came to realize while I was reading this book that focus is a problem for me.
Yes.
And I'm not quite sure about the exact phrase she gives it, but for me, it's successive focus. And that's the antidote to multitasking.
Yes. Yeah.
And this thought is really helpful and liberating for me. Maybe I'm exaggerating at this point, and people say, "Come on, this is not new. I do it each and every week." But to have how do you say, time frames in the week, maybe not always possible in each day, but have time frames where you say, this is the time to focus on this part of my life. This is the part to focus on that part of my life. And these, as we all know, successive focus is possible, but to have a focus on two things is impossible. Maybe I'm not playing the piano, but maybe you can have a rhythm on your left hand and do something spectacular with your right hand. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but things like that. Or when you're sailing a boat, then of course you do different things, but you focus on one thing, maybe on where the wind comes from, or if there's any trouble coming at the horizon or something else. So I'd really like to recommend this book, Tiny Experiments, because another thought is, we are goal focused, we are goal setting obsessive kind of. And she said there's quite often things in our life where it's much easier to focus on the process. Remember, we talked about that years ago in one of our German podcasts. I think James Clear said it as well, a blogger. And focus on the process. Of course, have a clear idea where you want to go. When you're sailing, maybe you have a lighthouse somewhere, but of course the winds are constantly changing and the waves and the drift. Right. But then focus on the steps to get there. So tiny experiments would be, I want to learn Spanish. Yes, so I have the goal to have a speech in Colombia in July, at least one in Spanish. I can read it from my paper.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, but I said to ChatGPT, give me short bites of Spanish each and every morning, which is possible right now. I didn't know that before, but a friend of me told me. So each and every morning I have some bites, and each and every morning I just learn it.
By doing this, what I also understood it is important that you have very often small bites. That is always a success for you, in a small success.
Yeah.
It helps you also, hey, done that.
Yeah, stay on course.
I'm staying on course, exactly. If you want to train, if you to become more healthy, to the gym or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if you, for me, it's if I train the piano. If I say, okay, I will do that every day for 1 hour, I will not do it. I know it.
Yeah.
But 10 minutes a day would be possible.
Yeah.
And these small successes, I think, are so important because it gives you, at the end of the day, a great feeling. Even if you've just done, I worked so much, but I haven't done anything really important.
Yeah.
But there's one thing, 10 minutes piano or 1 hour important but not urgent things. I've done that. And that's the same principle, I think. Yeah. I love your idea with if you go to the espresso machine and you're doing
push-ups.
I think about that.
Easy. Because it's not on the ground. I do it on the wall, kind of. So it makes it easier. But
doesn't matter.
Yeah, everyone, please decide for yourself. In my 7 fields of self-leadership, I have on my English podcast, I have an episode on the 7 fields of self-leadership, like a quick run through. So it would be in the field of processes and structures. So then the small bites, for example, or as you said, the 10 minutes a day learning to play the piano.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm with you. We're at a point where I'd like to have a kind of, to wrap it all up, a kind of outlook. So what's on the horizon for us? So maybe you start. What's coming up? Of course, holidays coming up, I hope, for you.
Yes, I when we record this, I will go next week then to South Africa for 2 weeks, but purely holiday, no business.
Yeah.
And when I come back, that will be mid of May. We will have a launch of our leadership crash course video training. And
is it in German or in English?
No, that's in English. The German one is already there for years now, and we now produced it in English for the English-speaking audience.
Yeah, so I underline it so we have a chance to do some promotion work here.
Yes, excellent. And then the other thing is I hope to get a project in Saudi Arabia, so I would go with leadership training workshops to Saudi Arabia maybe in July, August. That's the plan right now.
Very good. But let me just grab the thought. When I'm, let's say, I'm an expat now. I'm not, but let's say I'm an expat and I'm working in, for example, in Africa, or I'm working in Southeast Asia or something like that. Could I get you as a business coach as well?
Right now, it depends. I'm doing a few of this kind of projects, but mostly we are working online, and I'm working. Personally working only with business owners.
I see.
Not focused on the employees, the managers. But if we have a bigger project, I have my partner, Coach Erzin in my team, who's focused then on the on the employees who are team leads or group leaders.
I see. Yeah, I was just curious because we didn't talk about that in detail. So yeah.
You see, my biggest problem is time.
Yes.
Where to focus. And I'm doing this kind of projects with India, etc. But I can also see right now, yes, that's great. I love to do that because I've done that in my past, traveling a lot. But I'm 62 years old. I have to take care that it's not too much. So I can only have a few of this kind of projects. Otherwise,
Yeah, we talk about that in a couple of months. So if someone comes around and it's an interesting task, and he or she is 55 and has a startup in Singapore, for example, I'm pretty sure maybe you will find some time for interesting things. Yeah, maybe.
Exactly.
We'll find out. We'll find out. Anything else on the horizon for this year?
No, I think that's the main things I already talked about.
Because I know you're very structured and you have, of course, your different formats going on.
Yes, we have here in Germany some formats which we are every two times a year we have the mastermind weekend for the owners, which we just had in March, which was very, very, very good. Because this kind of exchange of like-minded people is you have someone on the hot seat. That's a great event. Looking forward to that in September. That's also something which I am looking forward to have some new clients in. But again, here, because I still want to work one-on-one with them, I have to balance that so that I don't get too many people in, because that's not scalable.
It's not. It's not. Funny thing. I saw photos on LinkedIn of your session, and on the hot seat itself was interesting, because when I got it right, I think it was kind of orange colored. Yellow-orange colored. It was the egg.
Not a red.
It was the egg by Arne Jacobsen. And because I'm totally fond of Scandinavian furniture and this kind of mid-modern style, she was sitting in the chair, and that was the Arne Jacobsen chair. I'm not telling you what alone this chair is costing. It's phenomenal, but that's from the 1959, 1958. Arne Jacobsen, and it's still.
We just took this seat from the hotel. I don't.
So remember that. Remember.
I will.
Yeah. So but maybe.
What's about you?
Maybe that's an interesting kind of bridge. I will travel to Lanzarote. Of course, we quite often talked about that we have a house on Lanzarote and on the Canary Islands. And in the Canary Islands, and we just in January had a client of mine coming over, and Anja, she's doing personal training. Right? My wife, she's doing personal training, and we've been working with this kind of business leader. It's of course it's anonymous. I can't talk about that, but he was working with us for 3 whole days, and he added some holiday in front and at the end of the week, so he could relax. And it was a superb, focused concept, and he was full of energy after that. Of course, we were busy working with him, but he really was full of energy after that. So we will do that again.
It's like a retreat.
It is.
Like how's it called? So they come for, let's say, 1 week. They have 2 days. Very hard working with you on self leadership or strategy, and the rest is just relaxing or working, but not really.
Absolutely. And his wife was with him. Was with him, so they could enjoy sports. Lanzarote is already famous for cycling, and of course for hiking as well. And I'd say it's kind of a transformative coaching, because it uses the landscape as well, and of course the climate. The climate is like perpetual springtime over there, and you can always go and have a bath in the sea, and it's always good. So that's one thing,
especially in wintertime, I would say that's
absolutely
very helpful.
when everything's kind of depressing in Germany, for example, then people absolutely like it to have this kind of 4-hour flight from Germany and then have a totally different climate. Yes, so we'll do that again in January. I think it's planned. Anja will do some more focused personal training, a small group in November, I think. But before that, next week we go for 1 week to Lanzarote for very simple things. We get new plumbings, but it's always good to be there. And then I go to Cyprus for a workshop for a client of mine, for one of the shipping clients. I can't talk about that here, of course, but it'll be great, fun on the one hand, and very interesting again to have a different perspective and to help them in team building. And then after that, I go again to Lanzarote for a couple of off-site for me myself to write things. Then we go to we talked about that, to Colombia. Well, I'll have 1 or 2 talks at the German Chamber of Commerce in Bogota. And then afterwards to Medellin, because Medellin is totally interesting now, not for cocaine, but it's totally interesting for startup. Because people from all over the world nowadays come to Medellin and ask, how is it possible that you create a climate, a scenery for people to be bold, to have no ideas, to be innovative, and I just want to study it. Let's call it, it's my field study. I will give some seminars at a private university as well. I will work with experts there, and I'm really looking forward to have this totally different perspective.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's a lot. Yeah, that's a handful.
So, Burkhard, thank you very much. It
Absolutely.
was a pleasure that we exchanged our views on leadership and what's in us, what's in for us.
Yeah, and in us as well.
What's in for us for the future now.
Yes.
So let's stay in touch. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, and thank you in the name of my listeners. It's always a pleasure, Bernd. Speak to you soon. Bye. Thank you for joining me on Self-Leadership with Dr. Bensmann. Until next time, stay committed to leading yourself with purpose.